1. We're taking a closer look at a 1965 Chevrolet El Camino that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic ride is priced at $11,500, but hold on tight because there's more to this story than just the price tag. First things first, let's address the elephant in the room. The seller mentions that the dust and soil they paid for is included in the price. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who pays for dust, right? Well, turns out, the dust is actually free. It's just a quirky way of saying that this El Camino is a project car that needs some TLC. Speaking of the project, it's important to note that this El Camino was a labor of love for the seller's father-in-law. Unfortunately, he passed away before completing the build, leaving it in the hands of the current owner. It's a bittersweet story, but it also means that this car comes with a ton of potential and a whole lot of heart. Now let's talk about what you're getting for your money. The El Camino comes with a new mild performance 350 engine and a 350 TH transmission, which is a solid foundation for any build. But that's not all. The original 289 engine and 2-speed transmission are included in the bed, along with a bunch of spare parts like power steering pumps, dash clusters, distributors, shocks, stereos, and more. It's like a treasure trove of El Camino goodies. The seller is also throwing in a newer engine stand and cherry picker, which is a nice bonus. However, it's important to keep in mind that this is a project build. You won't be able to just jump in and drive off into the sunset. The tires need to be replaced, and the car needs to be thoroughly checked out. It also needs a battery and some tender loving care. One thing to note is that the seller is firm on selling the El Camino, and all the parts as a complete package. They're not interested in selling anything separately, so it's all or nothing. Overall, this 1965 Chevrolet El Camino is a project car with a ton of potential. It has a great foundation with the new engine and transmission, and it comes with a bunch of spare parts to help with the build. Plus, it has a sentimental story behind it, which adds to its charm. If you're looking for a classic car to sink your teeth into, and you don't mind getting your hands dirty, this El Camino might be the perfect fit for you. Just remember, it's a project, so be prepared to put in some work. 2. We're diving into the world of classic American muscle with a 1976 Oldsmobile Omega that's currently up for sale on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at $5,900, and let me tell you, it's got some serious potential. First off, let's talk about the heart of this beast. The Omega is powered by a rebuilt 350 engine and a rebuilt 350 transmission, which is a recipe for some serious fun on the road. The seller also mentions that the car has a new exhaust system, so you can expect it to sound as good as it looks. Speaking of looks, this Omega is rocking a clean white paint job that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. It's a classic color combo that never goes out of style, and it really makes the car's lines and curves stand out. Now, I know some of you might be wondering about the condition of this car. The seller mentions that it's in good condition, and based on the info provided, I don't see any reason to doubt that. The rebuilt engine and transmission are definitely a plus, and the fact that it passed smog with a clean title is a good sign that it's been well maintained. Of course, with any classic car, there's always the possibility of some minor issues or quirks. The odometer reading of 100,000 miles might give some buyers pause, but honestly, that's not uncommon for a car of this age. Plus, with the rebuilt engine and transmission, you can bet that this Omega has plenty of life left in it. Overall, I think this 1976 Oldsmobile Omega is a solid choice for anyone looking for a fun classic ride. It's got a strong engine, a clean look, and a price tag that won't break the bank. If you're in the market for a vintage muscle car that's ready to hit the road, this Omega is definitely worth checking out. Just imagine cruising down the highway with the windows down and that 350 engine rumbling beneath you. It's the kind of experience that every car enthusiast dreams of, and with this Omega, it could be your reality. 3. We've got a real treat for you. a 1961 Buick Skylark that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $12,000. This classic beauty is a true testament to American automotive design and engineering, and it's got some seriously cool features that make it stand out from the crowd. First off, let's talk about that stunning yellow paint job. It's the kind of color that just screams, "Look at me," in all the right ways. The seller mentions that the car is in good condition, and based on the pictures, I've gotta agree. The body lines are straight, the chrome is shining, and overall, this Skylark looks like it's ready to hit the road in style. Under the hood, you'll find a small V8 engine that's sure to provide plenty of power for cruising around town or hitting the highway. The seller also mentions that the car has an aftermarket air conditioning system, which is a really nice touch for those hot summer days. Trust me, there's nothing quite like rolling down the windows and feeling that cool breeze on your face while you're driving a classic car, like this. Now, I know some of you might be wondering about the mechanical condition of this Skylark. Well, the seller mentions that it's got a new timing gear and chain, which is definitely a good sign. It shows that the car has been well maintained and that the owner has put some serious effort into keeping it running smoothly. One thing to note is that the odometer reads just 67,000 miles. For a car that's over 60 years old, that's actually pretty low mileage. It's a testament to how well this Skylark has been cared for over the years. And it's a good indication that it's still got plenty of life left in it. Of course, as with any classic car, there may be some minor issues or quirks that need to be addressed, but overall, this 1961 Buick Skylark seems like a solid choice for anyone who's looking for a vintage ride with plenty of style and character. And at just $12,000, it's a pretty darn good deal too. So if you're in the market for a classic American car that's sure to turn heads and put a smile on your face every time you get behind the wheel, this Skylark is definitely worth checking out. Who knows? It might just be the start of a beautiful friendship between you and one of the coolest cars ever made. 4. We're taking a closer look at a 1970 Dodge Dart Swinger that's currently up for sale on Craigslist. This baby is priced at $7,500, and let me tell you, it's got some serious history behind it. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that this Dart has been in the same family since 1978? That's over 40 years of love and care, and it shows. The seller mentions that they're likely the second or third owner, which is just a testament to how well this car has been maintained over the years. Now, let's talk about what's under the hood. This Dart is rocking a slant 6 engine with an automatic transmission. It's a classic combo that's known for its reliability and durability. The seller mentions that the engine was rebuilt back in 1991 at around 120,000 miles, and it's only seen about 15,000 miles since then. That's barely broken in for a Mopar. The body on this Dart is in excellent condition, with original paint that's almost entirely rust-free. There are a few spots around the windshield and rear window, but that's to be expected with a car of this age. The floor pans and trunk are also in great shape, which is a big plus. There are some small dents and worn-through paint in places, but again, that's just part of the charm of owning a classic car. One thing that really stands out about this Dart is the original vinyl top. It's in great shape and adds a touch of class to the overall look of the car. The front and rear valence panels have some damage, and there's a dent in the rear bumper, but those are easy fixes for the right buyer. The interior of this Dart has been updated with bucket seats and new carpet, but the original radio comes with the car. It's a nice mix of old and new that keeps the car feeling authentic while still being comfortable to drive. The seller has kept meticulous records of this car, with receipts dating back to the original 1978 bill of sale. That kind of documentation is invaluable when it comes to classic cars, and it's a testament to the level of care that this Dart has received over the years. Now, the seller does mention that this car would be a great start to building a hot rod. and I can definitely see the potential there. But honestly, I think it would be just as cool to keep it original and enjoy it for what it is, a classic piece of Mopar history. If you're interested in seeing this dart in person, the seller will be showing it off at Shoreline Cars and Coffee from 8 to 10 a.m. on Saturday, July 6th. Just be sure to bring your cash and your serious inquiries, because this car is sure to generate a lot of interest. All in all, this 1970 Dodge Dart Swinger is a fantastic example of a classic Mopar that's been loved and cared for over the years. With its slant 6 engine, original paint, and classic styling, it's a car that's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. And at just $7,500, it's a steal for the right buyer. So if you're in the market for a vintage Dodge that's got some serious history behind it, this Dart is definitely worth checking out. 5. We've got a real treat for you. A 1978 Ford F-250 that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $2,500. This classic workhorse is a true testament to American truck design and engineering, and it's got some seriously cool features that make it stand out from the crowd. First off, let's talk about that fresh brown paint job. It's the kind of color that just screams, "I'm ready to work," in all the right ways. The seller mentions that the truck is in good condition, and based on the pictures, I've got to agree. The body lines are straight, the chrome is shining, and overall, this F-250 looks like it's ready to tackle any job you throw at it. Under the hood, you'll find a big block 460 engine that's sure to provide plenty of power for hauling, towing, or just cruising around town. The seller mentions that the engine is running strong, which is definitely a good sign. It shows that the truck has been well maintained and that the owner has put some serious effort into keeping it running smoothly. Now, I know some of you might be wondering about the air conditioning system. The seller mentions that it needs to be recharged, but honestly, that's a pretty minor issue in the grand scheme of things. With a truck like this, you're probably more concerned about its ability to get the job done than you are about staying cool and comfortable. One thing to note is that the odometer has rolled over, which means that the actual mileage on this truck is likely higher than the 66,000 miles shown. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing. These old Ford trucks are known for their durability and longevity, and with proper maintenance, they can easily go well beyond 100,000 miles. Of course, as with any classic vehicle, there may be some minor issues or quirks that need to be addressed. But overall, this 1978 Ford F-250 seems like a solid choice for anyone who's looking for a vintage truck with plenty of character and capability. And at just $2,500, it's a pretty darn good deal too. So if you're in the market for a classic American truck that's ready to work hard and play hard, this F-250 is definitely worth checking out. Who knows? It might just be the start of a beautiful friendship between you and one of the toughest trucks ever made. And if you do end up taking this beauty home, just remember to give it plenty of love and attention. With the right care, this F-250 could easily become a family heirloom that's passed down for generations to come. 6. We've got an incredible opportunity to own a piece of automotive history, a 1949 Chevrolet sedan that's currently up for sale on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at just $6,000, and let me tell you, it's got some serious potential. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that this car is 75 years old? That's right, this Chevy has been around for 3/4 of a century, and it's still looking good. The seller mentions that the car is very clean inside and out, which is a testament to how well it's been cared for over the years. Now, let's talk about what's under the hood. The seller mentions that the 216 engine currently in the car is no good, but don't let that discourage you. The car comes with a running 235 straight 6 engine that's ready to be installed. This is a great opportunity to get your hands dirty and really make this car your own. The transmission is a 3-speed column shift, which is a classic feature that really adds to the overall vintage feel of the car. And speaking of vintage, the white paint job is just perfect for a car of this era. It's the kind of color that just screams classic American sedan. One of the great things about this car is that it comes with a clean BC registration and keys. That means you won't have to jump through any hoops to get it registered and on the road. The seller also mentions that they have fender skirts, manuals, and other extras that come with the car, which is a nice bonus. The seller has had the car for 2 years and has kept it stored in a garage off the ground. That's a good sign that they've taken good care of it and have kept it protected from the elements. However, they've decided to let it go to someone who wants to finish it and drive it, as they've lost interest. This is your chance to take on a project car that's got a ton of potential. Of course, as with any classic car, there may be some work that needs to be done to get it in top shape. But that's part of the fun of owning a vintage vehicle. You get to put your own personal touch on it and really make it your own. Overall, this 1949 Chevrolet sedan is an incredible opportunity for anyone who loves classic cars. It's got a great look, a solid foundation, and a ton of potential. And at just $6,000, it's a steal for a car of this age and condition. If you're looking for a project car that's sure to turn heads and get people talking, this Chevy is definitely worth checking out. So what are you waiting for? Give the seller a call and make this classic beauty your own today. 7. We're taking a closer look at a 1963 Biscayne LS6 that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic ride is priced at $8,800, and let me tell you, it's got some serious potential. First things first, let's address the condition of the car. The seller mentions that it's in fair condition, which means it's not perfect, but it's not a complete rust bucket either. The body is straight, but there is some minor rust on the right lower quarter panel. But hey, that's just an opportunity to put your own personal touch on this classic beauty. Now, let's talk about what's under the hood. This Biscayne is packing an LS.6 engine with a mild cam that's just over stock. That means it's got some serious power without being too crazy. The car also has a 4L80 3-speed overdrive automatic transmission, which is a great option for cruising down the highway or hitting the drag strip. The seller has put a lot of work into this car, and it shows. It's got a new exhaust system from front to rear, a new fuel tank, and a digital Dakota cluster. They also have all new stainless steel door trim, a new grille, new light bezels, trunk trim, front trim, and badging. Plus, it's got new bumpers, front and rear, and new floor pans on the right and left front and trunk pan. One thing to note is that the wheels have been sold, but the car currently has stock rims and tires on it. That's not a big deal though, because it gives you the opportunity to choose your own wheels and really make this car your own. Now, the seller does mention that this is a project car. It needs upholstery and paint, but that's all part of the fun of owning a classic car. You get to put your own personal touch on it and really make it your own. Plus, with all the new parts and upgrades that have already been done, you're already ahead of the game. Overall, this 1963 Biscayne LS.6 is a solid choice for anyone looking for a classic car with plenty of potential. It's got a strong engine, a great transmission, and a ton of new parts and upgrades. Sure, it needs some work, but that's all part of the fun of owning a project car. And at just $8,800, it's a pretty darn good deal too. One thing to keep in mind is that the seller is firm on the price. They've put a lot of work into this car, and they know what it's worth. So if you're serious about buying this Biscayne, be prepared to pay the asking price. In conclusion, if you're looking for a classic car that's got plenty of potential and a ton of new parts and upgrades, this 1963 Biscayne LS.6 is definitely worth checking out. It's got a great engine, a solid transmission, and a straight body. Sure, it needs some work, but that's all part of the fun of owning a project car. So if you're ready to get your hands dirty and make this Biscayne your own, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller and make an offer. Who knows? It might just be the start of a beautiful friendship between you and this classic American muscle car. 8. We've got a real treat for you. A 1980 Chevrolet Corvette that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $11,500. This classic sports car is a true icon of American automotive design, and it's got some seriously impressive features that make it stand out from the crowd. First off, let's talk about what's under the hood. This Corvette is packing an LG4 V8 engine with a 5.0-liter displacement. That means it's got plenty of power to get your heart racing and your adrenaline pumping. The seller mentions that the car runs and drives excellently, which is always a good sign. The transmission is an automatic, which makes this Corvette a great choice for anyone who wants the classic sports car experience without having to deal with a manual gearbox. And with dual exhaust and power disc brakes, you can bet that this car sounds as good as it looks. Speaking of looks, this Corvette is a real head-turner. The seller mentions that it's a California car with a beautiful body and paint job. The black interior is also in great shape, which is a testament to how well this car has been cared for over the years. One of the standout features of this Corvette is the set of 15-inch centerline wheels. These wheels give the car a really aggressive stance and add to its overall sporty appearance. And with just 77,000 miles on the odometer, this Corvette has plenty of life left in it. The seller mentions that this car has been family-owned, which is always a good sign. It means that it's likely been well maintained and cared for over the years. And with a clean title and pink slip in hand, you can be sure that this car is ready to go to its new owner without any legal hassles. Overall, this 1980 Chevrolet Corvette is a fantastic choice for anyone who loves classic sports cars. It's got plenty of power, a great look, and a clean history. And at just $11,500, it's a steal for a car of this caliber. Of course, as with any classic car, there may be some minor issues or quirks that need to be addressed. But that's all part of the fun of owning a vintage vehicle. You get to put your own personal touch on it and really make it your own. If you're in the market for a classic Corvette that's ready to hit the road and turn some heads, this 1980 model is definitely worth checking out. With its powerful engine, sporty appearance, and clean history, it's sure to provide plenty of thrills and excitement for years to come. So why wait? Give the seller a call and make this Corvette yours today. 9. We've got a real gem for you. A 1976 Mercury Grand Marquis that's currently up for sale on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at just $6,500. And let me tell you, it's got some seriously unique features that make it stand out from the crowd. First off, let's talk about the rarity of this car. It's a two-door model, which is pretty hard to come by these days, and with its two-tone paint job, it's sure to turn heads wherever you go. The brown color scheme is classic 70s, and it really adds to the overall vintage vibe of this ride. Under the hood, you'll find a massive 464 engine that's sure to provide plenty of power for cruising down the highway or hitting the drag strip. And with dual exhaust from the factory, you can bet that this car sounds as good as it looks. The seller mentions that they've owned this car for 3 summers now, and they've kept it garaged during the winter months. That's always a good sign, as it means the car has been protected from the elements and hasn't been subjected to harsh winter conditions. Before the current owner, this Grand Marquis was owned by someone who had it since 1991 and kept it garaged year-round. That's a testament to how well this car has been cared for over the years, and it's a good indication that it's in solid condition. The seller also mentions that they did a ton of work on the car when they first got it, taking care of pretty much all the big stuff. That's great news for any potential buyer, as it means you won't have to sink a bunch of money into repairs and upgrades right off the bat. Of course, as with any classic car, there may be some minor issues or quirks that need to be addressed, but overall, this 1976 Mercury Grand Marquis seems to be in good condition, and it's ready for a new owner who will appreciate its unique features and vintage charm. One thing to note is that the seller is looking for serious responses only. They want this car to go to a good home, So if you're just looking for a cheap beater or a project car, this might not be the ride for you. But if you're a true classic car enthusiast who appreciates the rarity and uniqueness of this Grand Marquis, then it's definitely worth reaching out to the seller and setting up a time to check it out in person. At just $6,500, this car is a steal for the right buyer. It's got a powerful engine, a rare two-door body style, and a classic two-tone paint job that's sure to turn heads. And with its solid maintenance history and recent upgrades, it's ready to hit the road and provide plenty of fun and excitement for years to come. So, if you're in the market for a vintage ride that's got plenty of character and charm, this 1976 Mercury Grand Marquis is definitely worth checking out. Give the seller a call and set up a time to see it in person. Who knows, it might just be the start of a beautiful friendship between you and this classic American ride. 10. We've got a real treat for you, a 1967 Chevrolet Impala that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at $14,000, and let me tell you, it's got some serious potential. Now, I'm gonna be straight with you. The seller says the car is in good condition, but there are a few things that need some TLC. The car starts, but it needs some carburetor work and a tune-up. It's been sitting for a bit, so that's not too surprising. The gauges also need some attention. But hey, that's all part of the charm of owning a classic car, right? But let's talk about the good stuff. This Impala is rocking a big block engine and a 4-speed manual transmission. That means you'll have plenty of power and control over this beast. It's got a vinyl top, which adds to its classic look, and the body is straight with no rust. That's a huge plus for a car of this age. The interior features a tilt column, which is a nice touch, and the paint color is a stunning red. The title is clean, so you won't have to worry about any sketchy history. Now, the seller does mention that you'll need to bring a trailer to pick up this beauty, but that's a small price to pay for a chance to own a piece of American muscle car history. Overall, this 1967 Chevrolet Impala is a solid choice for anyone looking for a classic car project. It's got a lot of potential, and with some elbow grease and a little bit of love, it could be a real showstopper. The price is a bit steep at $14,000, but the seller is open to offers, so there may be some wiggle room there. If you're interested, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller with any questions. And if you do end up taking this Impala home, be sure to give it the attention it deserves. With the right care, this car could be turning heads at car shows for years to come. 11. We've got a real beauty for you, a 1967 Ford Galaxy that's been lovingly restored and is ready to hit the road. This classic coupe is up for grabs on Craigslist, and let me tell you, it's a sight to behold. First off, let's talk about the price. The seller is asking $13,500 for this Galaxy, which might seem like a pretty penny, but when you consider the work that's gone into this car, it starts to look like a bargain. The seller mentions that this Galaxy has just 72,500 original miles on the odometer, which is pretty darn low for a car that's over 50 years old. And the frost turquoise color with a white vinyl top? It's like a time capsule straight out of the 60s. But the real story here is the work that's gone into this car. The seller has rebuilt the 390 engine, C6 automatic transmission, suspension, and front end. They've even added an aluminum radiator and electric cooling fan to keep things running smoothly. And with new front disc brakes and dual exhaust, this Galaxy is ready to stop and go with the best of them. The seller has also added some modern touches, like new shocks with air shocks on the rear and new tires and Gregor wheels. But don't worry, purists, the original tires and hubcaps come with the car, so you can switch back to that classic look whenever you want. Inside, the stock AM radio is still working, along with the original front and rear speakers. And the seller mentions that there are lots of other extras that have been done to this car, so you know it's been well taken care of. Perhaps the most impressive thing about this Galaxy is that the seller says it will drive anywhere. That's a testament to the work that's been put into this car. It's not just a pretty face, but a reliable cruiser that's ready to hit the road. Overall, this 1967 Ford Galaxy seems like a dream come true for any classic car enthusiast. It's got the looks, the power, and the reliability to make it a joy to own and drive. And with the work that's been put into it, you can be sure that it's ready to provide years of enjoyment. Of course, as with any used car, it's always a good idea to give it a thorough inspection before making a final decision. But based on the seller's description and the photos, this Galaxy looks like it's in excellent shape. 12. We've got a real gem for you, a 1980 Buick Riviera that's up for sale on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at $9,195, and let me tell you, it's worth every penny. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate how stunning this car looks? The brilliant black exterior is complemented perfectly by the auburn leather seats, giving it a truly luxurious feel. And with only 103,000 miles on the odometer, this Riviera has plenty of life left in it. But it's not just about looks with this car. The seller has put in a tremendous amount of work to ensure that it's in top condition. From the brand new touring tires and alignment to the new AC compressor and accumulator, no expense has been spared in making sure this car is ready to hit the road. Under the hood, you'll find a reliable 5.7-liter, 350 cubic inch engine paired with a smooth automatic transmission. And with recent maintenance like brake and radiator fluid flushes, fresh oil and filter changes, and a new air filter, you can trust that this car has been well taken care of. One thing that really sets this Riviera apart is the attention to detail. The seller has gone above and beyond, replacing things like the intake manifold and valve cover gaskets, servicing the power door locks and window tracks, and even adjusting the carburetor and idle. It's clear that this car has been loved and cared for. And let's not forget about the little touches that make this car truly special. The new velvet headliner adds a classy, finished look to the interior, while the original build sheet and clean title give you peace of mind about the car's history. Now, I know what you might be thinking. There are other vintage cars out there with lower miles or a lower price tag. But as the seller points out, those cars often don't come with the necessary work completed by skilled mechanics. With this Riviera, you can rest assured that it's been properly maintained and is ready to drive off into the sunset. According to Vintage Car Authority, Hemmings, a Riviera like this is worth $12,500 in average condition. So at just $9,495, this car is an absolute steal. If you're looking for a classic car that's been lovingly restored and is ready to turn heads wherever it goes, this 1980 Buick Riviera is the one for you. Don't miss out on this opportunity to own a piece of automotive history. Give the seller a call or shoot them a text or email today and get ready to cruise in style this summer in your very own vintage Riviera. 13. We've got a real beauty for you. A 1967 Chrysler Imperial convertible that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This stunning ride is priced at $14,000, and while it may need a bit of work, it's got a lot of potential. First off, let's talk about the heart of this beast. A powerful Ford 40 motor paired with a smooth torque flight 3-speed automatic transmission. With that kind of power under the hood, you'll be cruising down the highway in style. Now, I want to be upfront with you about the condition of this car. The seller has owned it for almost 30 years, which is a testament to its durability. However, it does require some chrome work, new window switches, and a fresh set of tires. But hey, that's all part of the fun of owning a classic car, right? The odometer shows 90,000 miles, but the seller has disclosed that the actual mileage is closer to 190,000. While that may seem like a lot, it's important to note that the engine, paint, and leather front seat have all been updated, so you can trust that this car has been well maintained over the years. Speaking of the paint, can we just take a moment to appreciate the stunning blue color of this Imperial? It's the kind of color that will turn heads wherever you go. And with a clean title, you can trust that this car has a clear history. Now, I know that the price tag of $14,000 may seem a bit steep for a car that needs some work, but when you consider the rarity and potential of this vehicle, it's actually a pretty fair price. Plus, with a little bit of elbow grease and some TLC, you could have a real showstopper on your hands. If you're looking for a classic convertible that's got a lot of character and potential, this 1967 Chrysler Imperial is definitely worth considering. It may not be in perfect condition, but that's part of the charm of owning a vintage car. With the right care and attention, this Imperial could be the pride and joy of any car collection. So, what are you waiting for? If you're interested in this beautiful blue convertible, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller. Who knows? You could be cruising down the highway in your very own piece of automotive history before you know it. 14. We've got a real treat for you. A 1985 Chevrolet El Camino that's up for sale on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at $2,500. And let me tell you, it's got a lot going for it. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the iconic style of the El Camino? It's the perfect blend of a car and a truck, and this one is a real head-turner with its sleek, brown paint job. Now, let's talk about the condition of this El Camino. The seller has been upfront about the fact that it still needs some work done, but they've also made it clear that they don't want to increase the asking price. That means you're getting a fair deal on a car with a lot of potential. One thing that really stands out about this El Camino is the low mileage. The speedometer shows just 48,000 miles, which is pretty impressive for a car that's over 35 years old. And with a clean title, you can trust that this car has a clear history. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 8-cylinder engine that's ready to rumble. And with rear-wheel drive, you'll have plenty of control over this beast on the road. The seller has also made some upgrades to this El Camino, including replacing the starter and front suspension. That's a $1,200 value right there, and it shows that the seller has been willing to invest in this car to keep it running smoothly. Now, I want to be clear that this El Camino isn't in perfect condition. The seller has been upfront about the fact that it still needs some work done. But if you're looking for a classic car with a lot of character and potential, this could be the one for you. The asking price of $10,500 may seem a bit steep for a car that needs some work. But when you consider the rarity and iconic style of the El Camino, it's actually a pretty fair price. Plus, with the upgrades that have already been made, you're getting a car that's been well cared for. If you're interested in this 1985 Chevrolet El Camino, the seller has made it easy to get in touch. Just give them a call or shoot them a text anytime between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. They've made it clear that they won't be answering emails or sending Google codes, so stick to phone or text communication. One thing to note, the seller has specifically said that they won't accept any offers involving a transport company picking up the car after a cashier's check clears. They're also not interested in any trades, so if you're serious about buying this El Camino, be prepared to pay cash and pick it up in person. Overall, this 1985 Chevrolet El Camino is a real gem. It may need some work, but with the right care and attention, it could be a real showstopper. If you're looking for a classic car with a lot of character and potential, this could be the one for you. Don't miss out on this opportunity to own a piece of automotive history. 15. We've got a real beauty for you. A 1973 Mercury Marquise that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This stunning sedan is priced at just $7,500, and let me tell you, it's got a lot going for it. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the gorgeous green paint job on this Marquise? The seller mentions that it's a brand new paint job, and it really shows. This car is going to turn heads wherever it goes. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful V8 429 engine that's ready to rumble. And with rear-wheel drive, you'll have plenty of control over this beast on the road. The seller has put a lot of work into making this car a reliable cruiser, with lots of new parts installed to keep it running smoothly. One thing that really stands out about this Marquise is its history. The seller mentions that it's been a Florida car for most of its life, which means it's likely been spared from the harsh winter weather that can take a toll on classic cars. And with just 53,400 miles on the odometer, this car has a lot of life left in it. Now, I want to be upfront about the condition of this car. While the seller describes it as being in excellent condition overall, they do mention that the front seat and headliner need some attention. But honestly, that's a small price to pay for a car that's otherwise in such great shape. The interior of this Marquis is said to be in great condition, aside from those couple of areas that need some TLC. And with a clean title, you can trust that this car has a clear history. One thing that really makes this Marquis special is its potential for fun. The seller mentions that it's a blast to drive in parades and the Woodward Dream Cruise, and I can totally see why. With its classic good looks and powerful engine, this car is sure to be a hit at any car show or event. It's also worth noting that this Marquis has always been kept in dry, climate-controlled hangars. That means it's been protected from the elements and is likely in even better condition than you might expect for a car of its age. At just $7,500, this 1973 Mercury Marquis is an absolute steal. It's a classic car with a lot of character and potential, and it's been well maintained throughout its life. If you're looking for a fun weekend cruiser that's sure to turn heads, this could be the perfect car for you. If you have any questions about this Marquis, the seller encourages you to reach out via email. They seem like they're happy to answer any questions you might have and provide more information about the car. Overall, this 1973 Mercury Marquis is a real gem. With its stunning green paint job, powerful V8 engine, and great overall condition, it's a car that's sure to bring a smile to your face every time you get behind the wheel. Don't miss out on this opportunity to own a piece of classic American automotive history. 16. We're diving into a classic American muscle car that's been through quite a journey. A 1985 Oldsmobile Cutlass 442, currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $6,000. Now, let's be real here. The seller admits that this car has seen better days. It's been an ongoing project for a while, with a brand new motor installed a few years back. But here's the catch. The car has only clocked around 200 miles since then. It's been sitting at a body shop, not running, for quite some time. The story goes that the seller had it put in the body shop, but the guy kept the car for a year and only did partial work before trying to change the agreement. So, the seller took the car back unfinished. There are some holes cut in the exterior, a little surface rust in the trunk, and holes cut in the interior floor. The interior is a bit rough overall, and the T-tops have a little rust, but otherwise, it's a solid car. The good news is that this Cutlass 442 was a Texas car until 2006 and was stored indoors for 10 years after that. The frame looks solid in the motor picture, which is a plus. However, the car is currently not running, and the seller doesn't want to tow it and have it worked on. They've got a new vehicle and want this one gone ASAP. So here's the deal. If you're looking for a project car with a brand new motor and a solid frame, this 1985 Oldsmobile Cutlass 442 might be worth considering. It's got an automatic transmission, runs on gas, and is a coupe with that classic rear-wheel drive. The paint color is blue, and the title status is clean. But let's be honest, this car needs work. It's not in pristine condition, and it's going to take some elbow grease to get it back to its former glory. But if you're up for the challenge and have $6,000 to spare, this could be the project car you've been waiting for. As always, be sure to do your due diligence before making any big purchases. Check out the car in person, get a mechanic to take a look, and make sure you know what you're getting into. But if you're ready to take on a classic American muscle car with a bit of a rough past, this 1985 Oldsmobile Cutlass 442 might just be the one for you. 17. We're diving into a classic beauty that's up for grabs on Craigslist. Get ready to feast your eyes on a 1977 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz. Now, let's talk about the price. The seller is asking for $9,900, which might seem a bit steep at first glance. But hold on, Because this Eldorado Biarritz has got some serious perks that might just make it worth the dough. According to the seller, this bad boy runs and drives like a dream. They've even gone the extra mile and slapped in a brand spankin' new battery and radiator, so you won't have to worry about any unexpected breakdowns. And get this, the AC is blowing ice cold, which is a total game changer for those hot summer cruises. But here's the real kicker. This Eldorado Biarritz comes with a moon roof that's in perfect working condition. Now, if you know anything about these cars, you know that finding one with a fully functional moonroof is like striking gold. It's a rare gem that adds a touch of luxury and style to an already impressive ride. The seller also mentions that the odometer reads 87,000 miles, which isn't too shabby for a car that's been around since the disco era. Plus, the title is clean, so you won't have to deal with any shady paperwork or legal hassles. Now, I know what you might be thinking. $9,900 is still a pretty penny to drop on a car that's older than most millennials. But here's the thing. The Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz is a true classic. It's got a timeless style that turns heads and sparks conversations wherever it goes. And with the upgrades and features this particular one has, it's definitely worth considering if you're in the market for a vintage ride that's got some serious swagger. Of course, as with any used car, it's always a good idea to take it for a test drive and have a mechanic give it a once-over before you sign on the dotted line. But based on the seller's description, this 1977 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz seems like it's in pretty solid shape. So there you have it, folks. A classic Cadillac that's ready to hit the road and make some memories. Whether you're a die-hard Cadillac fan or just appreciate the finer things in life, this Eldorado Biarritz is definitely worth a closer look. And who knows, maybe you'll be the lucky one to snag this beauty and add a little vintage luxury to your garage. 18. We're checking out a real blast from the past. A 1971 Ford LTD that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is sure to turn heads and get your nostalgic juices flowing. First things first, let's talk about the price. The seller is asking $6,000 or best offer for this LTD. Now, I know that might seem like a chunk of change, but hear me out. This isn't just any old car. It's a piece of American automotive history. Under the hood, you'll find a beefy 351 cubic inch engine with a 4-barrel carburetor. That means plenty of power to get you down the road in style. And speaking of style, just look at that classic brown paint job. It's like a time capsule on wheels. But the real story here is the work that's gone into this car. The seller mentions that it's got 4 new springs and a completely rebuilt front-end steering linkage and suspension. That's music to any car enthusiast's ears. It means that not only does this LTD look the part, but it's also ready to drive like a dream. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about the mileage? Well, the odometer shows 44,000 miles, which is pretty darn low for a car that's been around for over 5 decades. And with a clean title, you can be sure that this LTD has been well taken care of over the years. Of course, as with any classic car, there might be a few quirks and character-building features. But that's all part of the charm, right? And if you're handy with a wrench, you might even enjoy tinkering with this beauty and making it your own. At the end of the day, this 1971 Ford LTD is a rare find. It's got the looks, the power, and the history to make it a standout in any collection. And with the work that's been put into it, you can bet it's ready to hit the road and turn some heads. So if you're looking for a classic ride that's sure to get you noticed, this LTD might just be the one. Give the seller a call, take it for a spin, and see if it's the right fit for you. Who knows? You might just drive off into the sunset with a piece of American automotive history in your rearview mirror. 19. We've got a real treat for you. A 1963 Plymouth Fury that's looking for a new home. This classic beauty is up for grabs on Craigslist. And let me tell you, it's got some serious charm. First off, let's talk about the price. The seller is asking $6,000 for this Fury, which might seem like a fair deal for a piece of automotive history. But before you start reaching for your wallet, let's dive into the details. Under the hood, you'll find a 225 slant-6 engine, which is known for its durability and reliability. Paired with an automatic transmission, this Fury is ready to cruise down the road with ease. And get this, it's only got 30,000 miles on the odometer. That's practically a baby in classic car terms. But here's where things get really interesting. This Fury comes with a factory sunroof, which is a rare find on a car from this era. Imagine cruising down the highway with the wind in your hair and the sun on your face. It's the kind of experience that'll make you feel like a real-life Don Draper. Now, the seller does mention that the car runs great and drives well, which is always a good sign. However, it's important to keep in mind that this is a classic car, and with that comes a certain level of maintenance and upkeep. But if you're handy with a wrench and have a passion for vintage rides, this Fury could be the perfect project car. The seller also mentions that they're open to possible trades, so if you've got something cool to offer up, it might be worth starting a conversation. Overall, this 1963 Plymouth Fury seems like a solid classic car with a lot of potential. The slant-6 engine and automatic transmission make it a reliable cruiser, while the factory sunroof adds a touch of unique style. And with only 30,000 miles on the clock, it's got plenty of life left in it. Of course, as with any used car, especially a classic, it's always a good idea to give it a thorough inspection before making a final decision. But if you're looking for a vintage ride with some serious character, this Fury might just be the one. 20. We've got a real gem for you, a 1969 Chrysler Imperial that's been hiding away in storage since 1980. This classic beauty is up for grabs on Craigslist, and let me tell you, it's got a story to tell. First off, let's talk about the price. The seller is asking $5,000 for this Imperial, which might seem like a steal for a piece of automotive history. But before you start drooling over the photos, let's dive into the details. According to the seller, this car has been sitting in a heated and insulated garage for over 40 years. The original owner had hopes of driving it again or passing it down to family, but unfortunately, that never happened. Fast forward to today, and the seller bought this Imperial along with another car from the owner's son. Now, here's where things get interesting. The seller mentions that the car is in excellent condition, with only 67,000 miles on the odometer. The leather seats are still in great shape, and get this, it's got bucket seats with a passenger seat that also lays back. Talk about luxury, but what really sets this Imperial apart is the LeBaron package. In 1969, Chrysler only made 1,617 sedans with this package, which includes a custom vinyl top that wraps around the back window and vanity lights inside. And according to the seller, the vinyl top on this car is in excellent condition with no rust or damage. Of course, as with any car that's been sitting for decades, there's bound to be some work needed. The seller mentions that the gas tank and radiator will need to be flushed and cleaned, and it'll need new belts, hoses, and a tune-up. But hey, that's all part of the fun of owning a classic car, right? Now here's the catch. The seller doesn't have the title or keys for the car, but don't let that scare you off just yet. They've got all the paperwork needed to get a new title, at least in Illinois, and they even had a locksmith make a key for the ignition. Overall, this 1969 Chrysler Imperial seems like a rare find with a lot of potential. It's got the luxury features of the LeBaron package, low mileage, and a story that'll make any car enthusiast swoon. Sure, it needs some work, but that's all part of the journey. So what do you think, folks? Is this Imperial worth taking a chance on? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, happy cruising.